Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Good evening, Gonzo. How is oneself?
I am very well, thank you, sir. Are you firm and fruity?
I am firm and fruity indeed. Good news. Well, we'll just start with the big news. The good news then surrounding Flynn Downes. We'll chat about him.
Absolutely, mate. There's nothing. Well, I'd say there's nothing else to talk about. There's lots else to talk about, but we'll definitely start with the old Flynn Meister.
Yeah, well, let's give you a bit of a rundown. So this afternoon, this is how quick as I say, how quick it's progressed. This isn't how quick it's progressed. This is how behind people have been with the deal. So this afternoon, it sort of emerged through the Athletic. They were reporting that West Ham were interested in Flynn Downes. So that was that. About an hour and a half later, Dharmesh, our friend Dharmesh, put up saying actually West Ham have pretty much done a deal with Swansea for worth up to £12 million. Then about an hour after, Dharmesh updated his own update and said, medical book for the next 24 hours. Wow. It looks like we've got our third summer signing, Gonzo, in Flynn Downes of Swansea City.
Yeah, just how I like it as well, Geo. I got to say, we've not... Crikey, we do videos every day. We've not mentioned him. We've not mentioned him because he's not been in the news. So this one has flown right under the radar. You just wonder if there's been a bit of smoke and mirrors to basically hide what was clearly our real target, you know. So, and this is great. I don't mind it. I spoke about misinformation the other day. I don't mind it when you're trying to buy someone. I think it actually makes absolute sense. So the club have had us all, us included, you know, scurrying around, reporting and discussing all manner of other players. This guy's name has not come up once. Honestly, we've not discussed it, not seen it in any of the comments, not seen it on the One Football app, funny enough, or any websites, newspapers. So this is absolutely brilliant, and it's the sort of thing you've got to do. And I'll tell you what also I liked, Gio. Sounds a bit silly, but I liked the fact that we've pipped Crystal Palace to it. Not that I've got anything against Crystal Palace, but I think they've sort of got their recruitment right over the last little while. I think their last few signings have been pretty damn good. And I think, okay, if they're interested as well, then that's got to be a good thing. You know, he's got to be a decent player. Well, not that I don't know plenty about him, but I'm just saying if you don't know everything about Flynn Downes, then that's a good indicator that he's a decent player.
Well, do you want to know how we might have picked Crystal Palace to getting him? For those that don't know, Crystal Palace fans were expecting Downes to join them. They believed that there was a medical booked in later on this week for him to go to Crystal Palace. But here's something interesting, a bit of a fun fact. When we signed Mark Warburton as assistant coach, one thing that sort of has followed Mark Warburton around, I say followed him around at QPR and Rangers, so Queen's Park Rangers and Rangers, is that he maybe had a bit of an inkling to sign players from a certain agency. That agency, I think you pronounce it Wasserman. The person that works there is his daughter. Mark Warburton's daughter works for the agent that is the footballing agent of Flynn Downes. So, if there was any way of West Ham being alerted to how progress this deal was, what the deal is, kind of thing, how we could basically hijack the deal, well, you can put two and two together. Now, maybe she's got nothing to do with it. It might just be a coincidence. But if Mark Warburton wanted to know exactly how much money Flynn Downes was going for, he could find out pretty quickly. But he knows his agent. His agent is his daughter, or she certainly works for the company that is Flynn Downes' agent. So just a bit of a fun fact to throw out there for you. But
well, you know what? Why not? Why not? I mean, you'd hope that we'd already scouted him. You'd hope that he was known to us. But it's that little tip-off, as you alluded to, that perhaps says, oh, by the way, he's just about to join Palace, in case you're interested. And he's a West Ham fan, which is absolutely brilliant. What are you pointing at?
But the one thing I will say, we had interest in him long before Mark Warburton was on the scene. So I'm not suggesting the reason we've signed him is because of Mark Warburton. I'm only suggesting if we know about the deal perhaps of Crystal Palace because of Mark Warburton. You know, in the past he's had trials with us when he was at Ipswich Town. We had him on trial along with 3 or 4 other players. Didn't obviously come to West Ham for whatever reason. So I think it's fair to assume that we've been scouting him. He was linked to us back in 2020, 2019, even 2020,
Yes.
certainly. So 2 years ago, he was linked to West Ham. So this is somebody that we've had our eyes on for quite a while. And that's very reassuring, I think. So it sounds like we've done our homework. We've watched them at Ipswich. We've watched them at Swansea City. We've almost done... I think I might call this the Luis Diaz method, because I keep saying it to you, don't I? When Tottenham in January, Tottenham went into Porto and said, right, we want Luis Diaz. They did all the hard work. Liverpool sat back watching it. Just as they finally negotiated with Porto, Liverpool said, we'll have that, thank you. We're better than you. We'll have that, and we'll have the player. They let Tottenham do all the hard work. And it's almost like we've done that to Crystal Palace. We'll sit back and we'll let you crack on with it. We'll let you put in the hard work to agree a deal with Swansea, and then we'll just come in at the 11th hour, match it, and then go toe-to-toe with you. And we believe that we're going to attract him more than you because, well, he's a West Ham fan for the start, and we've got European football. You don't. I'll be honest with you. I agree with you. You said it's a bit of almost a bit of a coup to pinch someone from under the noses of Crystal Palace. I completely agree, because I think this season what Crystal Palace have done is almost say to any young player in the Championship, you want to step up to the Premier League, come to Selhurst Park. We'll give you minutes. We will take you and we'll give you time on the pitch. So I would understand if, despite being a West Ham fan, if Downes thought, you know what, I'm going to go to Crystal Palace, actually. There's a vacancy there with Gallagher's gone out. Looks like Checo Chiati's going out as well. So there's a bit of a vacancy in the middle of the pitch. Vieira is playing the youngsters. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go straight into that team. Whereas if he looks at West Ham and sees Declan Rice running about, he might think, might struggle to get into that midfield. So, a good signing. Do you know much about the player?
What don't I know about the player is probably...
Have you Gonzo'd him?
The thing, yeah. I have. I've got to say. He's going to appeal to Moyes massively because he's got almost 150 professional games under his belt now. So he's 23. He's from Brentwood as well, which is he's a West Ham fan, so he's an Essex boy. And that is, to be fair, Essex is a good poaching ground for the East Anglian clubs, for Norwich and for Ipswich, because it's not geographically, it's it's a good place to poach from, particularly if clubs like West Ham are not going to sign them up. Sometimes we speak about Declan Rice and how Declan Rice enjoys playing with Lanzini because they trust each other with a ball, and they're more than happy not to take 2 or 3 touches. They're happy to move the ball with their first touch. And what I've seen with this lad, that's exactly what he does. And actually, I look at it and I think he would complement Rice really well. Also, if he's stuck in a little tight situation, he'll drop the shoulder and he'll travel with the ball a little bit, much like Rice. He's not a carbon copy of Rice, far from it. Right, far from it, but he's very, very comfortable in possession, Geo, and he's more than happy to pass it through tight angles to sort of trust his teammates. I think Swansea were playing very much that brand of football. I was going to say last season, they've been playing that way for some years now, haven't they? But I like him. Neat, tidy footballer. Got a little trick as well. Reads the game well in terms of intercepting. West Ham fan, all sort of a good age, but young with 150 games of experience. Makes sense, mate. I really liked what I saw of him.
Homegrown as well. Always a bit of a bonus, isn't it? Especially when we're quite light on the ground with homegrown players. A defensive midfielder rather than a centre midfielder, I think, which sort of gives me a bit of encouragement. I like it. I'd rather see us sign a defensive midfielder this summer, because then you can see him playing alongside Rice and Souček. Whereas if you were to go and sign somebody like Ward-Prowse, I don't know if I could see Rice, Ward-Prowse and Souček playing alongside each other. I think you're still lacking that protection in front of the back four. So I like the fact it's a defensive midfielder. But just causes a little bit of confusion as to let's just say the last bid that we believe we made for a centre midfielder was Amadou Onana.
Yeah.
Downes is completely different, 2 completely different players. So are we still going after another box-to-box centre midfielder, or have we decided we're going to scrap that idea and we're going to go for Downes instead and go for a defensive midfielder? And I know at the very start of your show you said smoke and mirrors, but I still believe that bid for Onana was true because of the source. Maybe a bit naive here, but it was Dermesh that was the source of that Onana bid. And, well, he was right about Aguerd. He's the one leading on he never put the Downes stuff out there. That was the reporter for The Athletic. But Dermesh has been the one that's followed it up with the transfer fee, and then a medical being booked. So you can't sort of credit him for 2 of those and then say, well, that other one you got wrong, or you're wrong about that one. We know how diligent he is, and I think in a weird way, when we have him on these videos, it's a bit of a credit because people in the comments will say it's nothing we haven't heard before. But I always reply and say that's the point. He's not here making stuff up. He's here verifying what you've already heard. But also there's other stuff you have heard. When we put it to him, he says, I've not heard that. So he's almost dismissing the rumour, if you like. Do you know what I mean? If we said, oh,
well,
what about,
mate. Well, I'd often you're saying this is nothing we haven't heard before. That's probably because you've heard it from him before as well. So look, he's you're right. He's getting an awful lot right as well. What was that? What was that mime?
I don't know yet. So I'm just saying you can't pick and choose what you believe from Dermesh. You almost have to assume it's all genuine, if you like. The person that told them about Onana probably told them about Downes. That's all I'm going to say. So, so it's a bit weird. So it gives me a bit of encouragement. We're perhaps still in the market for a centre midfielder and a more attacking box-to-box midfielder as well. So, but be more to come on this one. But it looks like Flynn Downes is going to be a West Ham United player if all goes to plan.
Final word. Sorry, final word from me before you move on to the next subject. I did see Tommy.
I've still got more words. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, my final semi-final words. I shouldn't talk about semi-finals. Maybe it makes me feel depressed. I do believe that actually at the price, it's a good price. And I think he's a good player. It looks like he'll be able to cut it in the Premier League. Look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's going to be the best player in the Premier League, but this is the sort of player that actually you sign him for 10, 12 million pounds or whatever it is. And you probably, if he performs reasonably well in the Premier League, you probably do have a 25 million pound player on your hand at least. I think this, and the wages are low and the rest of it. And it appears that Palace are now going to go for Gibbs White, who's a really good player. I've liked him from the moment I saw him. Really, really good player. An excellent loan spell last season. I'd have loved to have seen us go for him. Don't get me wrong. But it looks like he's possibly going to be 25 million. Wolves look like they might be in a bit of financial trouble, actually. Might have to sell 1 or 2 players. So they need to get every penny that they can get. Less than half the price. I think this lad's good value.
And I think even if he flops at West Ham, you'll still get 9 million back from a Championship club because you know he's one of the best midfielders, or he will be one of the best midfielders in the league. There's often when you pip a club to the post at signing a player, the other fan base tend to get a little bit petty, don't they? Oh, we don't want to marry, we piss off, blah, blah, blah. Actually, Crystal Palace fans are gutted to be missing out on him, and they will have been doing their gonzoing over the last week or so. Well, let's find out all about Flynn Downes. Crystal Palace fans know all about it now, but Swansea fans as well are. There's a lot of Swansea fans adamant he's going to play for England one day, and they're usually quite humble. I think Swansea fans are quite good. I remember I always tell you about when I was reading Swansea fans' opinions about when we signed Andre Ayew, and they were quite humble about him. But they're adamant that Downes is good enough to go on and play for England one day, and they're all wishing him luck, saying good luck. You know, you've been here for a year, but you've given 100% every single game. You've got your move to the Premier League. We're glad you're going to someone like West Ham. You're going to get a bit of European football, and you support them. You're going to the club you support. Swansea fans, while they're a bit gutted and they feel that the 12 million fee is quite low, they're happy for him. And I think that says a lot about what kind of player he is as well. To go to a club for one season and leave that impression on the fan base takes some doing. I've seen him a bit last season because Swansea is a very attractive club to watch play football under Russell Martin. And, you know, the funny thing is, if Warburton could take a centre midfielder to QPR last season, someone like Downes would have fit perfectly the way that Warburton had QPR playing. Does work hard, very ill-disciplined though, picks up a lot of bookings. That's something we're going to have to rein in a little bit in the Premier League. Tough tackler. Stat. You know I like my statistics, Gonzo. So this is my final word. I'm going to give you a statistic to finish up on. Right, so out of all the centre midfielders in the 92, the English 92, all the centre midfielders, third place for pass success rate. Guess who was third?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, well, this is a tough one. Oh, this really is a tough one.
I'll give you a clue. I'll give you a clue.
Yeah.
He's on your mug.
Well, Declan Rice.
Declan Rice was third. Second, guess.
I was going to say, it can't have been the other two.
I'll give you a clue. He won the title last season.
De Bruyne.
It was Rodri, both on 91%. But I've seen the chart go around where Declan Rice is second, and they're both on 91%. But Declan Rice was like 91.4%, and Rodri was 91.7%. So I don't know why the table's just ignored the decimals if it's not important. Anyway, number one, you can guess who that was. Flynn Downes.
I can.
Best success pass rate out of every midfielder in the 92 clubs last season. So Premier League, Championship League, Long League 2, 93% pass success rate. Now, he doesn't create loads of chances, right? But that's not his job. His job as a defensive midfielder to do what Rodri is doing for Man City, which is to get the ball for your defenders and give it to those in attacking positions. So I think it's a really good signing. But
that's a great stat, Geo. To be fair, if he's top, it can only go downs from there.
But do you know what the funny thing is? The player that was fourth in the list, so behind Declan Rice and Rodri, was Grimes, the other Swansea centre midfielder. I think they just passed it to each other for 90 minutes. Just pass. Let's get the stats up, boys, and we'll get that move to the Premier League.
Quite right, too. Quite just passing it to each other, yeah.
Just last question on him then. If he was the only centre midfielder we signed, so going into next season, our options were Rice, Souček, Connor Coventry, and Flynn Downes. Would you be okay with that, or do you still think we need one more?
I would be fine with that as long as the others get used. Okay, so if Coventry got used and Downes got used, fine. What I don't want to see is this situation where Souček's flogged relentlessly and plays almost every minute of every game. That's fine. Have four, but have some rotation in there. Because let's be fair, if we say the four was obviously Mark Noble and Crowell wasn't used. Mark Noble was used sparingly. So this is the thing. You know, these guys have got to be able to put pressure, maybe not on Declan Rice, but on Souček, and you sort of rotate it around a bit. Plus, don't forget you've got Lanzini, who could drop in there and will play 4 or 5 games next season in central midfield. So I wouldn't be unhappy with that as long as we do sort of the other signings.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends very much elsewhere, doesn't it? You need to get a good left back in, a good attack midfielder in Broja, then you'd be okay with it. But if you got this guy in, and if you went and got 3 other players on similar level to Flynn Downes, with the greatest respect to him, I wouldn't be overly happy with that. I think there's too much gambles here, too much risks being taken. We need 1 or 2 top quality signings in the mix, and they're still yet to come. So good signing, but it depends on what happens elsewhere. And I think at 9 million, this could be a bit of a money-saving exercise where we free up that 10 million that we maybe allocated to the centre midfield. We use it elsewhere to get somebody in because, well, we'll talk about those 2 positions now then. Before I do, I just want to say a quick thank you to Doug. Doug put £5 in the super chat and said, "Evening, lads, add this to the biscuit transfer fund." Thank you very much, Doug.
Oh, we're going for big biscuits. We're not going for the Red Bull biscuit this year, Doug. We're going for big biscuits. We only want biscuits that are going to improve the biscuit barrel because we got some good biscuits in the biscuit barrel. We want top class Champions League biscuit. What?
A jammy wagon wheel.
Yeah. Well, I don't want luck to come into it, Gio. I would just want a proper nice. I'm thinking of Fox's Viennese chocolate finger. We're sort of going there. So thank you, Doug. That will help us hopefully compete with the big biscuit buyers.
Right, a couple of quick ones on other transfer rumours because otherwise we'll be here all night just doing transfer rumours. The latest on Armando Broja is that Chelsea are set to head to America for the pre-season. And he's not going. The rumours are in Albania. Now, these reports are coming from the Albania press, and that's suggesting that Broja isn't in the plans to go. Tuchel's not taking him, and the player's not too happy about it. And the player's basically said, well, if I'm not coming, I want to leave then. I don't want to be stuck in England. And also, Chelsea are now very, very close to confirming the signing of Raheem Sterling as well. So, Broja could be on his way out of Stamford Bridge very, very soon. As for Jesse Lingard, there was false reports yesterday that he was close to joining West Ham. And when I asked somebody that I speak to about Jesse Lingard, he said talks have been happening and they've been moving on. But then when I said, there's reports saying it's pretty much done, he said, absolutely not. It is nowhere near that. Reports today that he's off to America, and they're true. Jesse Lingard is heading to America to see what is on the table from MLS clubs. Now, I'll be honest with you, Gonzo, that's irked me a little bit. I get why we want him. I want him back. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit of commitment from Jesse Lingard by now. A little bit of, yes, West Ham's my priority. Put the offer I want on the table. I'll sign it. Personal terms appear to be the issue, but the fact he's heading off to MLS is a bit of a concern, because I've always felt, and naively probably, I've always felt that playing football was his priority. Well, if it is, going to MLS sort of contradicts that, really, because I don't think that's where you go for playing football. That's where you go when you want to boost your bank balance. And the culture out there would suit him with all the social media and the celebrity life and stuff. But the guy's 29 years old. I mean, I know he's not no spring chicken, but he's got plenty of time left in him before he goes and does that. He's still got another 2-3 seasons left in the Premier League at this level before he has to go to MLS, which is like a bit of a retirement home as far as I'm concerned. That's where footballers go to disappear. So the fact he's even considering it, I find it quite disappointing.
Well, I find it a complete insult. Actually, I'll go further than that. I'm completely insulted by it. It is almost. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think we could feel any more like the last choice until I read the MLS thing. Okay, and I've done the whole analogy about Moyes basically, and about Lingard being a bit of a tease. But it is like going in to a nightclub and meeting a girl, and you saying, "Do you know what, darling? Do you mind if can I come back to you a bit later?" And then you go round and you try and pull everyone else that you fancy more, and no one's having any of it. This hasn't happened to me, by the way. Clearly, obviously, I've pulled the first one, but you get all the way to the end, and then it's 2:00 in the morning. You go, "Oh, do you know what? Actually, love, yeah, come on then. Let's go back to mine." I mean, you can
buy the kebab on the way home.
Absolutely. You'd expect to get a slap, quite frankly. You certainly wouldn't expect to go, oh no, that's right. I don't mind waiting around for you. And that's what we're like, basically. Honestly, we're the last turkey in the butcher's shop just on Christmas Eve. It's and it's an insult. It's an insult. I mean, honestly, what else is he gonna do? I mean, go and do you know what? I can't find anyone in MLS, but before I give you my decision, there's a couple of conference clubs I just want to speak to, if that's all right. And then you get to the end and you go, oh, all right. I guess I'll have to go to West Ham. That's how it feels. It feels like he's doing that. I think Jesse Lingard feels he's doing us a massive, massive favour. That's if this is all true, of course. But in all honesty, he could have made the right noises from day one. If he wanted to be, if Jesse Lingard, this is the bottom line. If Jesse Lingard honestly wanted to be at West Ham, he'd be here by now. The moment his contract ended, he would have said, "God, thank goodness for that. I tried to get me a Man United contract. It's West Ham. It's West Ham for me. Moyes has been great to me. I love it there. I like the lads, and got me whatever. I can move back into my old flat or whatever." That stuff hasn't happened, and I am sick of it.
I missed this earlier. Hammer 1999. Have you seen Jimmy Walker's tweets about him? Now, he's actually referring to Flynn Downes, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because Jimmy Walker worked with him at Ipswich Town, and Jimmy Walker had said to him, Jimmy Walker's tweeted this and put in public domain, basically he jokingly said to him a couple of years ago, "You will be Declan Rice's replacement at West Ham United." Now here he is. So Jimmy Walker's obviously saying, called it. I knew he was good enough for West Ham. So hopefully he's wrong about the second part, being Declan Rice's replacement. But hopefully he's correct about the first part, which is potential stopper. Is there any other transfer rumours you wish to discuss, Gonzo?
No, but Dougie, this is exactly right, Dougie. It's exactly right. And I don't think we are. I think we're assault. I think we're crumpet, really. And he's treating us like we're no good. Anyway. He said, "I'm not sure Lingard is what we need, lads. Need to step away from this signing personally. I want to see the future here, not just a fella after the money. Thank you very much, Philip."
Who's giving us money? Thank you, Philip. We appreciate it. Anyway.
We can be bought.
Right, time to do a little bit of admin work. We've still got transfer chat coming up. We've got to talk about the kit, the friendlies, Fabianski, and your questions as well. But before we do that, first of all, drop a like on the video while you're here. Subscribe if you're new. Right, if you watched my video a couple of days ago, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. Yes, that's right. I told you how you could get your hands on one of these mugs, right? So originally we said, do this. Now, I'm not going to explain what I said, but just to avoid confusion. basically, we did that. And the update hasn't been that good. We knew we wouldn't get loads, but we hope to get 1 or 2 more than we've actually got. So me and Gonzo had a conversation earlier and said, well, we need to do something. Well, I said, Gonzo, we need to do something because I've got mugs here that I need to get rid of. We're using this mug. It says West Ham are massive, Hammers Chat are relatively small. We're using this to reward our current patrons. So you're already a patron. You know what's going on with this mug. And we're using it to drive new patrons. So if you want to get this mug, if you join Hammers Chat Patreon tonight or for the rest of July, patreon.com/Hammers Chat, and you become an addict in July, then you renew in August, you can get a free mug. You have to pay the postage yourself. It's £3.50 UK. So if you're an addict for July and August, we'll give you a mug for free. But Gonzo, they can also become a mild addict and get their hands on the mug.
Absolutely. Let's just differentiate between the two. There are 3 tiers when you sign up for Patreon, and the middle tier is a mild addict. The top tier is addict. Now, if you are a mild addict and you sign up, now we've got for this one. Yeah, thank you very much. Andy's addicted, pretty much, isn't he? Really, Walshy. And what did we decide, Geo? That if you signed up as a mild addict, but you had to continue your
for the years, join up annually. So you'll save 10% off, and we will post you a mug as well. So simple as that. And Ray, current addicts get the mug for free. If you go on Patreon and have a look, it tells you on there how you get that mug for free already. We reward people. Anyway, so yes, links in description and the pinned comments of this video. Any support is greatly appreciated. Right, Gonzo, how are you feeling about the transfer window? You all right?
Well, I will be if we. Well, I was getting a bit squeaky bum. If we sign this fella, then I would think, okay, that's 2 of the. Well, I don't include Areola. It's status quo as we were. There's no improvement on the squad, but that's fine. I think it needs to be done. Centre half, because Moyes really wanted one. I think that's done. It will mean central midfield, and we've got someone there. So then I would be looking at, certainly. I feel we were halfway there, but I would still like to see striker, obviously, left winger, and left back as well. So I still think we'd need a little bit of something else as well. But I think there's plenty of time left. This actually, I tell you what, this gives me hope though. The fact that there's nothing in the press, nothing's leaked out. It gives you hope that when it's perceived that nothing's happening, obviously, clearly, we are working behind the scenes and trying to get some deals done. So this won't be the only one. If we've got this midfielder, we've got a left winger and we brought Broja in as well. I think we're going to have a good season anyway. As it stands, I'm pretty confident the top 10 again. I think if we could get the 3 players that I mentioned, then I've left 3 positions that I mentioned, and one of them was Broja. I think we'd at least match what we did this season.
Yeah, it's encouraging, isn't it? Like I said, I'm very encouraged by the fact as a defensive midfielder in particular, because I do think if Souček isn't going to go, and I don't want him to, but it sounds like he won't, because who's going to pay 40 million for him? I can't see anyone paying that money to get Souček out of West Ham. So if he's going to be here next season, then let's make sure we can get the best out of Thomas Souček. And I've sort of convinced myself that the best way to do that is to have somebody in beside Declan Rice and move Souček 15 yards forward. Now, not necessarily play him as a number 10 as such, but certainly make sure that when we get into the final third, he's in and around the 18-yarder. Because too often last season, he wasn't there. We were getting the ball wide. He wasn't there. He was doing his best to get in there, but he was just starting further back than normal. Or Declan Rice would often be the one that would dribble with the ball to get us up the pitch. But then Souček couldn't get up because Rice is the one with the ball moving up the park. So we've almost got this guy who's really good at picking the ball up in our own half and driving us forward to the opposition's 18-yarder. Fantastic. What now? Well, let's get the ball in the box. We can't. Why? Because Souček's on the box. Why not? Because he's covering for the guy that just ran with the ball. It was a bit daft almost. We couldn't utilise Declan Rice's newfound trait, if you like, last season. And I think if having someone like Downes or a defensive midfielder would be able to say to Souček and Rice, both of you go on, both of you. Declan Rice, do your run. Souček, get in that box as well. I'll sit back here. So I'm encouraged by that. There's still a lot of work to be done. And I felt like the next signing was the crunch one. Now, it's not as this is going to sound really bad, but it's not as big or as important as expected or hoped. I was hoping it would be the striker or another £25 million signing. However, I do think that this is a very clever signing by West Ham, actually. I think it ticks a lot of the boxes for what we're looking for. I think it gives us greater flexibility. At Swansea, anyway, he's played in a back three previously, so he does have experience playing in a back three. Not a centre-back pairing of a back four, but in a back three, he can play there. It just allows us greater flexibility. Even if he's on the bench next season, when the season starts, that's fine. We've got the 5 substitution rule. We've now got somebody that can come on and almost do what Martin Noble did, which is we're struggling to get a foot of the... Quite often last season, we'd be struggling in a game where the other team would be having the ball, but right, we need to get Martin Noble on. We've now got somebody that we can bring on who statistically has the best pass success completion rate last season out the 4 divisions in English football. I don't see many negatives to this transfer. For the transfer window, I remain hopeful. I wouldn't say confident. I'm not quite confident yet, but I do feel this window is a lot more organised than last window, actually. Not the January one, last summer. I do feel we're a lot more organised. And like you said, the fact that we didn't know anything about this has given me a lot of hope that actually the left back, there's something going on there. We just don't know who it is, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. Totally agree.
Thanks to Ann Thornton. Sorry to ask, but did you fart or was it the chair? It is the chair. The chairs are quite squeaky, aren't they?
Both.
Anyway. Right. New kit comes out tomorrow morning. Gonzo, have you seen it? Of course you have. Everyone's seen it. There it is. That's it. That's the kit. That comes out tomorrow morning. I should have said, spoilers. If you don't want to see it, look away 2 minutes ago. But it's on your screen now. That's the new away kit. Do you like it?
So when I was So when I was sort of 15, 16, so whatever, end of the 80s, whatever, right? And
come 4 a.m, you were going up to the bird going, come on then, love, I suppose I'll take you.
Not at 15, 16, I wasn't. Absolutely. Then skiing was a bit of a thing, and actually skiing apparel became almost fashion, and so did shell suits as well. Like I remember having a Sergio Tacchini shell suit and stuff, right? And skiing gear and stuff like that. And a lot of it looked like the sleeves on there. It's very 80s, I've got to say. Very, very, very 80s indeed. I'm not sure. Geo, I don't care. I don't buy these things anyway. It's interesting, put it that way.
You do buy them. You bought one a few years ago from a Chinese website, and then
after about twice, you were like, didn't it?
"Yeah." You were complaining to me that you put it in the wash twice and it was gone, and I was sat here listening to you thinking, "What did you expect?"
For my knockoff, dodgy top. Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to get the kit at the end of the season when they're selling them for a third of the price. I'm more than happy to do that. So look, it's not for me. The third kit's always quite funny. The other ones, well, it tends to be claret and blue of some description. I'm not overly enamored with what I've did this season's kit. You know, I like it. My favourite kit of recent times was the Adidas one. I was wearing it in a video the other day, and funny enough, I just put it on. I found it by my wardrobe. I'll put it on for a video, and actually there are 4 or 5 comments under the video saying, "Oh, that's my favourite kit. That's my favourite top." So are you buying yourself one too?
No, I just don't wear them. They're not for me. They don't bother me. I don't like them nor dislike them. I think it's a nice shirt. I just don't think it's a West Ham shirt. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a very modern shirt these days. A lot of black football kits are the thing nowadays. I think it's just in keeping with that, really. But shirts don't really bother me. I'm a bit like you. You don't get any points for having the nicest kit in the league, do you? So I'm not that bothered by it. It is what it is. And every year, despite what people think, the club will sell thousands of the shirts anyway. The kids will want that shirt, regardless of what it looks like. They will want it. It is what it is, kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm not too bothered. Anyway, comes out tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, I believe. So,
but shirt. You can go to our shop if you want and get yourself a better t-shirt. Just saying.
Yeah. Who wears black shirts for West Ham? Black shirts got nothing to do with West Ham these days. Anyway, what have we got next? Friendly. We've got our first friendly on Friday and in 2 nights' time.
Is that Rangers?
No, it's Servette. What is it in France? What's it called? Servette? Is that who we're playing?
France.
Anyway, we're playing in Geneva. The
Serviette.
is in Geneva. I don't know what it's not. No, it's not napkin, but I don't know what. I can't remember what it's called.
Moist outlet. Yeah.
Here you go. Is that how you say it? Servette. How do you pronounce that in like French?
Yeah, I'd go Servette. I'd still call them Serviette.
Les Servette. Servette are Swiss. Yeah, they're playing in Geneva. The game is in Geneva, so that's on Friday, 5 or 6 o'clock kickoff. I can't remember which one. It's being streamed live on YouTube, so everyone can watch the game. Charlie's doing a watch along for it, so get your screen split in half, put the game on, and come join Charlie and listen to Charlie and join in the live chat and get interacting with them, chat lot. But the first friendly is on Friday. Is there any players in particular looking forward to? We'll obviously might have to do our breakfast show. We normally do a breakfast show for every game. I'd quite like to do one on Friday if you're around.
Because breakfast show. Yeah,
I'd like to discuss pre-season to some extent. But is there any players in particular you're looking forward to seeing in pre-season? I think there's one obvious one, Connor Coventry. But there's one guy I am really looking forward to seeing.
Okay, well, I am looking forward to seeing Ashby, just because I think this is a good season for him, particularly. I would have liked to see Baptiste, but I don't think bear in mind how many centre halves we've got. We've only got so many friendlies. We know we've got a lot of centre halves. He's going to need to give them games. I like it. Excellent. The midfielder whose name escapes me, who's been training with the first. Him. Yeah,
that's the one I can't wait to see.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Armstrong also flex as well, but Ekwa's the one. The last season, I felt that there was maybe a couple of opportunities we could have used him, but he was injured. When you see the clips in pre-season, obviously, I'm going to have to be fair because I slack you off all the time for doing a Gonzo, right? So when you watch the clips, the club edit in hand to you on the play and say, here, watch some pre-season clips of West Ham's training. I go, yeah, right. I realise I'm doing what you do for the new signings, right? But in that, Ekwa looks really good. He's the one. He dinked the keeper. I don't know. Who was in goal? Was it Trot? I think it was Trot in goal. And Ekwa dinked him from quite a distance and just into the delightful little goal. So I thought he looked really
good. He's big. I mean, he's a strapping lad. It's not like, this is what I don't get with some of these. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're waiting for him to fill out or grow. If he's technically good enough, he's certainly big and strong and fast enough. So, I mean, that'd be interesting to see.
And Chelsea wanted to keep him. All you have to do is look at all the other youngsters running around at the minute. That's come from Cobham. We've got one at our club. Well, I'd like to see him, please. Hopefully, it's good. And this is where I wonder if he is deemed good enough for the first team. Well, maybe this is why we're not going to splash big cash on a centre midfielder. We feel that between Coventry and Ekwa, one of them could make it. You only need one of them to make it, don't you? And then you save yourself 30 million. So he's the one I'm looking forward to seeing on Friday night anyway. So yes, 5 or 6 o'clock kickoff. Can't remember when. Nobody in the live chat's updating me, so I'm going to assume they don't know either. But Charlie will be doing a live watch along, and I'll do a bit of a build-up show as well for it, just going through who's starting for West Ham, stuff like that, and see what you're saying in the live chat. And lastly, before we move on to the questions that you guys have sent in, it's finally been announced, Gonzo, that Fabianski's got a new deal. We'll be waiting until next summer. But interestingly, the club got an option for an extra year if they wish.
Why not? I guess why not? It could turn out that he has a decent season. His reflexes are still intact. I mean, I don't want him to be number one next season, but I mean, he's been here a long time, so been a good servant to the club since he signed. Been a really good value for us. And it's one less headache for Moyes. It's one less thing. I think Trot's come back, and Trot was making interesting noises in the interview about he almost was talking about challenging Randolph and things like that, and enjoying training with the lads. So I wonder if Trot's been given assurances that he's going to be in and not be loaned out, be in and around the squad, quite possibly. So I just think it's just something that David Moyes can put to bed. Right, that's the goalkeeper situation sorted for next season. Now I can concentrate on the other areas of the team. So, it makes sense, mate.
Right. Now we're going to head on over to the comments that you put on YouTube earlier on today. We'll do that for 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to take questions from the live chat. So if you have any questions, please keep them for now. And then the questions we don't get through that have been submitted earlier will be the forum channel video tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. Link is in the description. Basically, when you watch our video, just click on our description, will you? Everything's there. The link to the other channels there. The link to the store. The link to the sponsors link if it's sponsored. The link to our Patreon. Everything's there. Just have a little read. Just while you're listening.
Basically, under that screen here, where my finger is, a little arrow thing, and there's like a little drop-down menu, and it's just loads. All this information's in there. So there you go.
Anyway, Leo says, "I want to know what is your priority position in player that we should get for our third signing, fourth signing."
Yeah, the fourth. It has to be the striker. It absolutely has to be the striker. And the player. I mean, it's a boring answer, but it's the right answer. I just think Broja is tailor made for us. Absolutely tailor made for us. I struggle to think of anybody else who's realistic who we could get who would do the same sort of things. I don't want Ben Brereton Diaz. I think he lacks dynamism. I'm sure he will score goals throughout his career. I think he will, but we don't know if he can make the step up. And that's fine. Not knowing if you can make the step up is fine when you're 12 million at Downs. Not so good when Blackburn want 27 million. Well, I want guarantee for that. And actually, the transfer fee, as we understand it, very, very similar for Diaz as they might be for Broja. It has to be the striker. Because number one, we need one. But can you imagine the lift we would all get as fans the next site if we got that wrapped up? Imagine the next 2 weeks we got the striker wrapped up and bringing a midfielder. I've been looking forward to the season anyway. I really have. I mean, in terms of, I think we'll do well. I don't subscribe to the thing that we're going to face relegation next season. Obviously, I read what some people say, and I don't agree. I think we'll be, whatever happens, we'll be a top 10 team next season. Every signing adds a layer onto that. So, yeah, definitely striker.
Yeah, striker for me as well. It would be Braille and Bolo. I did my striker video last week, and Bolo would be my pick. But I think striker's important because we're now into pre-season. The friendly's on Friday. It's followed up by Tuesday night, then Saturday, whatever. The friendly's come thick and fast now. And we've got a month. What's today's date? The 6th. Yeah, so we play on the 7th of August against Manchester City. It's literally 1 month until our first game in the Premier League. A week goes by, it's 3 weeks. All of a sudden, there's only 2 weeks now. The new guy, is he ready to rock and roll? Yeah. Can we play him? Probably not. I want to see the striker next. The left back, listen, I want a left back, but I think you can be all right with Creswell for the month of August if you had to, with Ben Johnson playing there if we needed to rotate Creswell for whatever reason. And obviously, I don't mind starting with Antonio as the striker, but we've got 7 games in August. Could you imagine we haven't signed a striker? Come the start of August, we've not signed a striker. We're starting Antonio. That's fine. I'll tell you what, 7 games is a hefty amount of games for him. And I know last season he was hamstring injury free. Yeah, that's a good thing, but it's also a bloody worrying thing because it feels like it's due. Could you imagine he got injured in August? Broja, 50 million, please, West Ham, because we know you've got no striker. So you're right. You're going to need to buy one, haven't you? So I think we'd be in a weaker negotiating position for any striker we went for. Striker has to be the next one that comes in so that Antonio doesn't need to play all 7 games. It would just be unnecessary. Like I said, and Bo would be my number 1 pick. Broja would probably be my number 2, but we need to get in somebody. Steve 50 says fish and chips or a Chinese.
Oh, Steve. Steve. Well, it depends where I am. At home would be a Chinese, I would think. Down by the seaside, walking along the promenades, fish and chips, mate. Bit of a cop out there. I think I eat more Chinese than I eat fish and chips, basically.
Yeah, I would go Chinese as well. I agree. The context is important. This time of the year, I'd prefer fish and chips, but if it's December, I'd prefer a Chinese. It's not quite as fulfilling a fish and chips, is it? But yes, I enjoy a Chinese.
Now, you're always hungry after a Chinese, aren't you? An hour later, you're hungry after a Chinese. Well, I am, anyway.
What do you have? You're ringing up the Chinese now. What's your
I would have some spring rolls. I would have a chicken fried rice. Then I would have a chicken and cashew nuts as well.
Oh, no, I've got to get a duck. Got to have duck pancakes.
They're nice, yeah.
Egg fried rice with satay chicken. Depends how many people are there. The more people, the more you can order and the more you can divvy up. You know, you can have a bit of this and a bit of that. So sweet and sour chicken's next on my list if there's enough people to go for it. And there's always chips and prawn crackers kicking around as well. So, yeah. Oh, I love a good bit of duck idea.
Hold on, just while we're on that, just someone's mentioning pie and mash. Does anybody else, like pie and mash eaters, does anybody else have this? Like, so forget you're not going out for. I'm not talking about pie and mash, right? You're not in the East End. You're not eating pie and mash. You're out in a restaurant somewhere completely different with people who know nothing about pie and mash, and you get a pie, and you just say you might, you might be in a pub, you order a steak and ale pie that might, whatever, come with some potatoes in it, and you turn the pie upside down, and everyone looks at you like you're a nutter, right? And I just wondered if anyone else ever has that, because I'll always turn my pies upside down, regardless of whether it's pie and mash or just a normal pie.
Right. Last question I'm going to take from the ones that were sent in earlier. So if you're watching this live, you've got any questions, please get them into the live chat, because we're going to turn to you in just a minute, and we've got about 15 minutes to go. So give us some questions, please. Right. Simon, this is interesting. Simon Hughes put this in about 6 hours ago. He says, Mark Warburton has said he wants to make a difference and help develop a more attacking style of play. Do you think he will be on the same page as Moyes, and will it be reflected in the transfer market? This was before Flynn Downes came out.
Maybe. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think we do attack. I think you could level that against Moyes in his first stint. I think we do attack. I think we attack an awful lot. I'm not sure we attack effectively all the time, and I think we need to add some pace to it. I think actually our problems are conceding goals. I think we scored plenty. Bearing in mind that we're not Liverpool, we're not Man City. I do think we scored plenty of goals actually. I mean, it might help the fluidity. What it might help, I'm hoping, Downs, those games where the team's set up and they're really defensive against us. I mean, we're fine with the counter-attacking. When the team has a go at us, we tend to be able to have a go back. But when they're quite organised, maybe Downs will help that, breaking the team down without sort of bludgeoning them basically with a hammer. No, I think we're pretty good at attacking, actually.
Jamie Norwood, who was more obsessed? Moyes with Lingard or Allardyce with Nolan? Oh, come on. Allardyce with Nolan was a different level. Though we were fourth in the league, and the guy literally said, I need to break this team up to get him in it.
I know.
It's different obsessions, though, isn't it? At least Allardyce got his man.
And also, let's be fair, we all think it's true. It's a good question, Jamie, which is why I haven't answered it. But we're all assuming that Moyes is still going after Lingard, and he probably is. I think it's true. We all think it's true, but we don't know. There's strong evidence. You can actually see what happened with Allardyce and Nolan there. But I find it quite sad and upsetting, with Moyes going after Lingard. I don't want to put my arm around Moyes and say, she don't fancy you, mate.
You could argue, hypothetically, of course, you could argue Allardyce's obsession with Nolan cost us top four, and Moyes' obsession with Lingard cost us top four.
Oh, I totally agree. And even more than that, Geo. That one signing he possibly didn't make, 'cause he's waiting on Lingard on transfer deadline day. I've said it numerous times. Could have been the difference between a semi-final and a final. Honestly.
Jake Wing says, "Do you think that Yamal Baptiste will make it into the first team this season?"
No, it's too much in front of him.
Henry says, do we have to qualify for the Conference League in August? We do. We've got a video. We've got like an information video. It's made, it's edited, it's ready to rock and roll. We just don't want to put it out this week because nobody's asked about the Conference League. Saying that, the Conference League qualifiers have started tonight, but none of our subscribers are going to watch a video about the Conference League tonight. So we're waiting until a few days before the draw is made. Then we'll put it up. It contains all the information that you need to know in regards to the Europa Conference League and West Ham in the Europa Conference League as well. Peter says, if we have a poor start and are struggling, will Warburton take over? Or no, he's saying Warburton will take over.
Well, we've got two managers there, haven't we? In Warburton and Nolan, McKinley as well. Actually, I don't think it's cut and dry. I don't think Moyes has appointed his successor there. But I'd be lying if I said that the thought hadn't occurred to me. I also don't think we are. I really struggling struggling to be down near the relegation, would be sort of bottom 3 and stuff like that. It would take for the boards to sack Moyes. It would take something like that, and it's just not going to happen. But I know he's not perfect, but he's too good a manager. We're just not going to be down in the relegation zone in December, basically.
Yeah, I agree with Gonzo here. We could be 12th, and the board wouldn't sack him. The board would say, "Nope, that's all right with us." It's not ideal because we can't all, well, not all of us, but a lot of us, including myself and Gonzo, can't suggest, well, wait until April 2023 and the board might sell West Ham United. Well, 12th in the league protects their asset. They're fine with that. As long as we're in the Premier League, they're okay. So I would argue we'd be taking a risk to get, if we were 12th and they sacked Moyes and put Warburton in charge, I would argue that's riskier than just leaving Moyes in charge for the rest of the season.
Definitely.
Yeah. Adam says McDonald's, KFC, or Burger King.
Okay, I mean, generally it'd be KFC, but I've got to tell you, I really fancy a Burger King at the moment. The bacon double cheese, bacon with the cheese and the bacon and the 2 burgers. That's a good burger. That's a really good burger.
You've got to go XL though.
Yeah, but I haven't got one. I haven't got a Burger King here.
It's all right. Size doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
So it's KFC.
Burger King for me as well. Ben Jones says, hypothetically, we're chasing 6 and in the conference quarterfinals. Which would you prioritise? I know you're going to say both, but everybody says both, so just pick one. Just play the game. I would prioritise the Conference League.
Okay,
6 doesn't guarantee you European football, depending on the winner of the cups, of course. But at the minute, it doesn't. And winning that cup gets you into the Europa League, and you don't get a trophy for finishing 6th in the Premier League, do you?
I think it depends on the size of the squad. If the squad was very thin, I would at that point think, right, okay, we can only go for one thing, which is what we're dealing with here. Prioritise one. The squad was really thin. I'd probably go with the Conference League.
You have to. What's the point of going for 6 to get European football? But you're in it, and you're now putting it in second. I've never understood it. Never understood it. Why some people that I can see 95% of opinions I have, and someone thinks the other thing, I can see their point of view, right? So I want Lingard back. Someone doesn't. I get why you don't. I understand. I just disagree with you. But the whole don't try and win the European competition. I've never ever understood it. And whenever I've said it in videos and I've said to people that don't like the European competitions, give me reasons why I don't like it. I've never been given a reason yet that's made me think, okay, I get that. They're all, well, we'll struggle in the league. Okay, and I'm all right with that. I'm okay with it. Oh, no, well, we're not going to finish in the top 6 next season. Well, yeah, but finishing in the top 6 against European football, which you're saying we should bin off. What's the point of finishing in the top 6 then if you're not going to bother with the European competition? I don't get it. They do all this hard work and just throw it away. It's like going out to your garden and build a shed. Your base is down. You've done the walls. You've done the door. You've done the roof, but you don't bother putting the felt on, so it gets soaked and just rots. What's the point in that then? You've done all the hard work. Why have you done that? Well, I want a new shed. Don't want that one anymore. I want a different shed. Anyway.
Sore subjects.
With Moyes wanting another attacking midfielder, what's your thoughts on Curtis Jones on loan? Tell you what, that would be an excellent signing. You could do that.
Yeah. I'm not sure how. I see him playing central and I don't mean left wing, but sort of central left. Don't know how many times I've seen him sort of operating in the pocket. He almost takes up the same positions that sort of Thiago. Well, I've seen him like Thiago takes up rather than Coutinho's position. Do you know what I mean?
But Liverpool don't play a Jesse Lingard position.
They don't. You're absolutely right. And I think when I was looking at that Champions League final, when I was looking at Henderson trying to play football, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my word, they couldn't beat the opposition goalkeeper. Because I was actually looked at it, I thought, why word they need a second midfielder here? Easy. What does Jurgen Klopp know? Look, I think it'd be a good signing. I do. I would hope we could do better than a loan signing off of Liverpool, though. As good a player as he is.
Has Ariola got to be number one this season? And the only answer is yes, end of. We don't disagree, Andy.
Right. Once you write end of, there is no, as we know, there is no other argument. Oh, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. All arguments cease to exist with end of or right in fact in capital letters. It ceases to.
Do you know my favourite one is give your head a wobble. I think Broja should be striker. Give your head a wobble. Hang on then. Nope, I still think Broja should be striker.
Absolutely.
I'm fine, wobbled, and I still have the same opinion. Yeah. But anyway, Marcus says, I know you like Mbolo. Why him over Broja? I think he's ready. I think he's ready now. I don't think Broja is ready yet. I think he would need molded, and that's okay. He's a diamond in the rough. It's fine. He could become better than Antonio. I think Mbolo probably already is. He's like the Bundesliga Antonio.
Yeah.
Just better.
I've heard a video on him a couple of years ago. I saw him play international. I think I was playing for Switzerland or so. I saw him in a tournament. Anyway, I did a video.
Well, that's probably likely considering he's Swiss. He definitely didn't see him.
Did he ever play for Serbia?
No, he did not play for Serbia. Definitely didn't do that. How do you think the World Cup will affect our season? Well, I think there'll be a month gap.
I'll tell you what. I mean, honestly, who knows what a shower that is? I mean, it could wreck everyone's season. I don't know. I just think it's a monstrosity. I think it's awful. We just don't know because it's a good question. There's no answer because we don't know. It's never happened before. It could be horrendous.
It's not the same, but something similar happened with COVID, didn't it? Season stopped, mini pre-season, season goes again, and we did really well with that little gap. We utilised that exceedingly well. And I'm not talking about Moyes delivering fruit and veg, but we were one of the clubs that just seemed to have our stuff together. Now, I'm aware it's completely different because COVID was a thing and COVID won't be a thing in the World Cup. However, a lot of the clubs, many that are likely to be above us in the Premier League, will have a lot of players at the World Cup. We'll have some, but there won't be that many. You can probably count them on one hand who's going to the World Cup and is a West Ham United player. So any player that's struggling for form for whatever reason or that goes into that little break, I expect them to almost come back a different player when we kick off again on Boxing Day. I think we might benefit from it, actually.
This is a good shout. I've not given it that much thought. They might be more knackered than us.
Yeah, I mean, they won't like it, will they?
I don't care.
We've just seen them all moaning about the Nations League. I don't want to be playing all these games, right? Oh, that's fine. You're going to have this attitude at the World Cup then. No, you probably won't. You'll head off to that country as well and happily play football. It's just because it's the Nations League. But someone like, say, Harry Kane, going to play 16 games. I think it's 16 games. 16 games for Tottenham. Then he's going to have maybe a week off. Then he goes bang straight into it with England. Probably will go far in the World Cup. Then you have a couple of weeks off, and bang, he's straight back at it with Tottenham. And it's not like the summer holidays. After the World Cup, it's fine. It's July. Off you go. Go have your holiday in July. Now clubs are going to be saying to them, it's now the 18th of December. Go have a week off. Oh, well, yeah, fantastic. Thanks for that. Really, really glad that I'm off in December. Thank you. Best time
Lingard will be knackered, won't he, when he goes back to join up with the Mississippi Hurricanes?
Mississippi Hurricanes. Brilliant. Alan says, if we don't get a striker, who is to blame? Moyes, the board, or both?
Oh, everyone. I mean, everyone. Everyone. I mean, let's not, if that doesn't happen, let's not try and play the blame game and try and work it. Collectively, if they can't get together and buy a strike, everyone, every single bloody one of them deserves, honestly, a load of criticism.
Yeah, it's difficult, really. I think you would need to know what's going on, really, but there will certainly be a lot of questions being asked. Right, well, come on then. Now you're really taking the piss. Now we need answers now as to what's going on. What are you giggling at? What have you seen? Click on it. I'm not there yet.
I don't want to.
Okay, well, I'm miles back, so
I don't want to bring it up.
Jeffrey says, do you see the expanding the bench meaning for our opportunities for the younger players? What do you see the expanding bench?
Well,
they might get to watch from the dugout instead of the stand.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I don't know. It'd be a retractable bench, obviously, at West Ham. The old safe standing bench. I think if we're in the leading games comfortably, which does happen 2 or 3 times a season, we could put up a good scoreline. I really would hope that Moyes would see it as an opportunity to, sort of bring a youngster off the bench or something would be nice. But I wouldn't put any money on it.
Yeah, I'm not confident at all. There's a little bit of me that's slightly optimistic, which is there's players now at the club that came in under David Moyes and went straight into the under-23s. We've already mentioned them in the show. Ekwa, Thierry Neves, Armstrong, Oakleflex. They were certain. I know Moyes doesn't necessarily purchase them, but it's under Moyes' stewardship that they've come to West Ham United. So there's got to be a little bit of pressure on Moyes that says, well, you've got to get these into the first team now. I understand if you perhaps don't like him and him and him, which has come in under previous regimes, but these have come under your watch now. Also, you've just lost Sonny Perkins. Now, it might be a money thing, but you could also argue it's a playing time thing as well. And Moyes has got to take a little bit of responsibility for that. And if Sonny Perkins has said, well, I want this much, and the answer is, well, you're this young and you're not that important to the first team, his response could easily be, because you won't play me. I could be that important to the first team, but you don't give me game time. So I think there's a little bit of pressure on Moyes to utilise them this season. But like I said, I've always got sympathy for the manager because I think it's difficult to play the youngsters in a lot of games, particularly when you're chasing for European football or you're in European competitions. It's difficult to play some of the youngsters. But that's my sympathy stops and my sympathy runs out when an opportunity presents itself to David Moyes, which says, you can't lose here. Play the youngster, and if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. This is a free hit. Elise, Stamford Bridge, free hit. He doesn't take it. And that's where I think, my sympathy stops here. I get why you won't play a youngster in a European knockout game. Completely understand it. There's a trust issue there. If we're challenging for 6th, 7th in the Premier League, I get it. But when there's literally one pit centre back and you still won't play, and that's when I think, now it's too far now a little bit. We've lost Sonny Perkins. Elise will be next out the door if we're not careful. And I know there's an argument of, well, how many players go elsewhere and do it? Well, we're just spending £9 million on a centre midfielder, which we couldn't get to the club when he was a youngster. So while he wasn't in the academy, we identified him at a young age and said, he's going to make it. We didn't get him, and he's costing us £9 million now. Now, I'm not complaining about signing Downes, but my point is we need to do better with presenting opportunities to youngsters at West Ham United next season.
Absolutely right. Sorry, do you think that Ashby will be our breakthrough player this season? Out of all of them, the youngsters, yes, I would say he's the most likely if we're discounting Connor Coventry, okay? Because Connor Coventry's gone and had first team experience and whatnot. I think so, particularly if we don't sign a left back. But if we don't sign a left back, you'll see Johnson playing over there quite a lot. Then I think Ashby gets shoes. That would be my tip out of all of them, because I just can't make a case in my own mind that he's going to play Alco Flex, that he's going to play Baptiste. I just think he's the most likely.
Sorry, I'm just skimming through these because I am so far behind and we need to start wrapping up soon enough. Anything else you'd like to talk about, Gonzo?
No, not that I can think of, mate. But we'll do a couple more questions for the forum video tomorrow, maybe. But it's been nice to have a chat, and I think it's nice. We announced the cup of tea before we knew about the hopefully the signing of Downes as well. So it's been nice to have a bit of good news actually to do on a cup of tea, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've enjoyed this actually. A lot of people often say, why don't you do more? But because we do a video every day, it gets a bit difficult. But then we sit here and have a laugh and have a discussion. Makes me miss it a little bit. So we'll try and do more next season. We'll try and do more cups of tea.
We do mugs of tea on our Patreon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Link in the description below.
But yes, if anyway, to round it off, let's speak about Patreon just briefly. If you want a free mug, West Ham are massive. Hammer Shark are relatively small. I mean, both are true. Join Mild Addict. Join Mild Addict. It's the middle tier for the year. And you save 10%, you'll get a free mug. Or join Addict, which is the top tier. Join in July. Stay with us for August, and we'll send you a mug as well. But that's it for myself and Gonzo. We're off to record more questions that we got submitted from you guys, which will be on the forum channel tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining us, whether you watched it live or you're watching it on playback. Massively appreciate it. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. Myself and Gonzo. Catch you tomorrow.